First story. My son's ex accused him of abuse, so I ruined my son's life, disowned him, kept him away from his daughter, and got him kicked out of his own house. When the truth came out, I regretted believing her and immediately apologized to my son, but he still refused to talk to me or let me play with his daughter. Throwaway because my family knows my name. 2 years ago, my son's ex told me he'd been abusive to her. I believed her. My son 31M and his ex, M29F, had been together for about 6 years. They had a 3-year-old daughter at the time. From my point of view, they'd always been a little rocky. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I ever saw anything close to abuse. I didn't. But when M called me crying one night saying my son had finally crossed the line, and she couldn't take it anymore, I didn't even ask for his side. I asked her what happened, and she said he had put his hands on her during an argument about money, then screamed at her in front of their daughter. She said it wasn't the first time, just the first time she was telling someone. She told me she was scared of him and didn't know how to leave safely. It hit me in the gut. I've been through abuse myself in my first marriage, so the thought that my son could be doing that to someone, especially in front of my granddaughter, just made my stomach turn. I reacted emotionally. That same night, I called my son and told him I'd heard enough. I didn't want to hear his excuses, and that he needed to get out of the apartment. He tried to talk, but I was furious, and I hung up. Then I went to M's place the next day and helped her pack some of his things into garbage bags. Within a week, M had filed for full custody, citing abuse and an unsafe home environment. She got a temporary restraining order. My son called me multiple times, left voicemails, and sent texts, saying she was lying and that I was falling for her game. I didn't answer most of them. The ones I did answer were just me telling him he needed to own up to what he'd done and do better for his daughter. And yeah, I posted about it on Facebook. Not naming him directly, but it wasn't exactly subtle. Something like, abuse isn't always from strangers. Sometimes it's the people you least expect. Proud of my granddaughter's mom for protecting her. A lot of family figured out what I meant. My son's reputation in the family tanked almost overnight. My brother stopped inviting him to family events. His cousins barely spoke to him. Over the next year, I saw my granddaughter mostly at M's place. I helped her with childcare when she needed to work late. I honestly thought I was doing the right thing. M would tell me little updates about how my son was harassing her or making things difficult in court. She'd show me screenshots of texts all worded to make him look angry and threatening. I never questioned them. But here's the thing, I didn't actually see my son in person for almost a full year. When I did, it was in a courthouse hallway. He looked exhausted, thinner, and older. I tried to talk to him then, but he just said, "Don't. You picked your side." Then he walked away. It was another year of court battles before the truth came out. M's entire case fell apart when my son's lawyer got access to her phone records and cloud backups. Turns out the screenshots she'd been showing people were edited. The original texts were her baiting him, threatening to withhold their daughter, and twisting his responses. There were also videos she had claimed showed outbursts that were obviously staged. One was her blocking the front door while filming herself crying, claiming he was screaming at her. Except you could hear her whisperings start before she began sobbing. Another was her pushing a cabinet over and then screaming at him for throwing furniture. The judge didn't just throw out her case, he ordered an investigation into her for perjury and interfering with custody. She lost primary custody almost immediately. My son was cleared of all abuse allegations, and M now only gets supervised visits. The day the ruling came down, my phone blew up. My sister, who had been more neutral about the whole thing, sent me a link to the court summary. I read every line. My hands were shaking. I realized in that moment that I had destroyed my relationship with my son for absolutely nothing. I called him. He didn't answer. I sent a long text apologizing, saying I believed her and I was wrong, and I was so sorry. No reply. A week later, I tried again. Same thing. Eventually, he sent one single message. "You made me go through all of that without a single person in my corner. I needed my mom, and you were her." It's been 3 months since that message. He hasn't spoken to me since. I've seen my granddaughter once, briefly, when he came to drop her off at my sister's house. He didn't even come inside, just texted, "She's here," and drove off. I now regret everything. Every time I ignored his calls, every Facebook post, every little nod I gave him when she said something awful about him. I feel sick thinking about how smug I felt for standing up for what's right. I didn't stand up for anything. I just took the easier story to believe and ran with it. My current husband, not his father, says I need to give him space. My sister says I need to keep trying. My gut says I ruined it beyond repair. And honestly, I don't even know if I deserve for him to forgive me. I can't stop thinking about the nights he probably sat alone feeling like the whole world thought he was a monster because I led the charge in making people think that. Now I'm here, scared that my granddaughter is going to grow up knowing that her grandma turned her back on her dad, and knowing that if I had just stopped to ask him what happened, all of this could have been avoided. After the court ruling, the family split into two camps. The ones who believed M kept their heads down. The ones who'd stayed neutral or sided with my son were blunt about how badly I'd messed up. My brother straight up told me, "You made yourself part of her case against him." He wasn't wrong. My sister tried to do damage control, inviting us both to family dinners. My son didn't show up. Once, she invited me over, knowing he'd be dropping off my granddaughter, hoping we'd talk. He walked in, saw me, and without even saying hello, turned to my sister and said, "Don't do this again." Then he left. M, on the other hand, acted like nothing had happened. A week after losing custody, she posted on Facebook about the corruption of the legal system and hinted that my son had manipulated the courts. A few of her friends commented in support, but most people ignored it. She texted me twice, once to say she still wanted me in my granddaughter's life, and once to ask if I could get proof of my son abusing her daughter. I didn't respond to either. The awkward part is that I still see M, sometimes because she lives in the same town and works at a grocery store I go to. She'll wave like we're friends. I just walk past. My son has made it clear that contact with me is his choice on his timeline. I've respected that. I don't text every day or leave voicemails anymore. Once a month, I send a short message, nothing heavy, just thinking of you. Here if you want to talk. No responses so far. I did get one surprise, a handwritten note in my mailbox about a month ago. It wasn't from him. It was from his girlfriend, someone I'd never met. She wrote that she understood what happened, but that my son doesn't trust easily anymore, and that pushing would make him pull back harder. She said the best thing I can do is show through actions, not words, that I've changed. No promises, no guarantees, just time. The part that stings most is my granddaughter. Right now, my only contact with her is if she's at my sister's when I visit. My son doesn't drop her off at my place, doesn't invite me to school events, nothing. I get it, he doesn't trust me to not take sides again. And honestly, I can't argue with him for feeling that way. Other relatives have asked if I've considered some kind of family mediation. I have, but my gut says he wouldn't show up. The few times I've seen him in person, his body language is pure, keep your distance. So that's where I'm at. I believed a lie. I acted on it. I trashed my son publicly, helped his ex take his kid, and now I'm paying the price. I'm not asking for sympathy, I don't deserve it. I'm asking for advice from anyone who's been on either side of something like this. Is there any way to rebuild a relationship after a betrayal like this? Or do I need to accept that I burned it down for good? Comments. Comment 1. Wow, gold star parenting right here. Your son's accused of abuse, and instead of, I don't know, talking to him, you decide to go full Facebook warrior and nuke his reputation. And then you became free childcare for the woman trying to rip his kid away. Incredible. Truly setting the bar for how to destroy a family in record time. I'm sure the thinking of you texts are making it all better. Comment 2. You didn't just make a mistake. You effing wrecked your own kid's life because it was easier to play hero for the wrong person than to ask a single damn question. You stood there helping her pack his stuff into garbage bags like some petty high school mean girl, while he was losing his home and his daughter. You don't get to cry about trust now. You made sure he had nobody when he needed someone. And you think time's going to fix that? Get real. Comment 3. The worst part isn't that you believed her. It's that you went public. You didn't just keep it in the family, you broadcasted it. Made sure every relative knew your son was supposedly a monster. And then you smiled about how proud you were of her. That kind of public betrayal? People don't come back from that. You basically told him his own mother was his enemy. And now you want him to forgive you because you feel bad. That's not how it works. Update. I didn't think I'd have anything worth posting again. But a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks. I finally heard from my son. But not for the reason I'd hoped. It started with a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was short. Need to talk. Mediation is next week. You in? At first, I thought it was spam. Then I realized it was from my son. He had changed his number after the harassment. My heart was pounding. I texted back, "Yes, of course," before even asking what it was about. An hour later, I found out. M had reached out to me again. This time, she claimed she had new evidence and was planning to appeal the custody ruling. She wanted me to write a statement saying my son had a history of anger and that I'd witnessed controlling behavior. She even offered to send me examples so I could remember specific incidents. The gall of this woman after everything that's happened. She still thinks I'd take her side. I didn't respond to her. Instead, I forwarded her messages straight to my son. 5 minutes later, he called. First time I've heard his voice directed at me in over 2 years. His tone was flat, with no warmth at all, but he thanked me for sending the screenshots. He said his lawyer was already aware M was sniffing around for witnesses, but hadn't expected her to try me again. I told him I wasn't stupid enough to fall for her twice. He just said, "Good." Then he explained the mediation text his lawyer suggested. We do a session to set boundaries so M couldn't claim family support on her side. The idea was to get it documented that I'm not aligned with her in any way. That's it. It wasn't about reconciliation. It was about strategy. I'm not going to lie, hearing that stung. I'd been holding on to this stupid fantasy that when he reached out, it'd be because he missed me or wanted to start fixing things. Instead, it was because his ex was trying to use me as a weapon again. Still, I agreed to the mediation. The session was awkward from the second we sat down. My son was polite but distant. He laid it all out for the mediator. He doesn't want M to have any contact with me beyond necessary custody exchanges. He doesn't want me posting about him, his daughter, or M on social media ever. He doesn't want me acting as a go-between or messenger for M. I agreed to all of it. There wasn't anything there I didn't already know or expect. But the way he kept his tone businesslike, like I was some distant acquaintance instead of his mother, was rough to hear. Halfway through, the mediator asked if either of us wanted to add anything personal. I said I wanted to apologize in person, without excuses. I told him I was wrong, I believed lies, and I hurt him more than anyone else did. I told him I didn't expect him to forgive me, but that I would keep showing up in the ways he allowed. He didn't say much back. Just a quiet okay and a nod. When it was over, he said he'd be in touch about future visits with my granddaughter, supervised by him or his girlfriend, at least for now. That part didn't bother me. Honestly, I'd accept seeing her in a parking lot if it meant she still knew who I was. So yeah, I guess I should be happy. I got to sit in a room with my son for the first time in years. I heard his voice. I was told, in plain words, how I can still be part of my granddaughter's life. It's more than I had last month. But at the same time, I can't ignore that the only reason this happened is because M tried to drag me into her mess again. If she hadn't reached out for her retrial crap, he wouldn't have contacted me at all. That's a hard pill to swallow. I'm trying not to dwell on that, though. The way I see it, even if it started for the wrong reason, it's still a step forward. I'm not blocked from his life anymore. It's not love. It's not trust. But it's something. Since mediation, he's texted me twice. Both short and to the point. One was to confirm a supervised visit with my granddaughter this weekend. The other was just, bring snacks she likes. Still, I can't stop myself from reading those messages over again like they're some kind of treasure. I'm also documenting every single time M tries to reach out, just like his lawyer told me to. I'm not engaging with her at all. I'm not even giving her the satisfaction of knowing she got a reaction. She can rot in whatever little fantasy world she's built. So here I am, weirdly happy and sad at the same time. Happy because I saw my son and granddaughter. Sad because the reason wasn't love or missing me, but strategy against someone we both hate. I'll take what I can get. Comments. Comment 1. Honestly, this is a win in disguise. Yeah, it's not the emotional reunion you dreamed of, but you're back on the radar, and that's huge after 2 years of silence. Take the boundaries seriously, respect every single one without complaint, and keep showing you're not a liability. If you stick to it, you might earn more than just supervised visits over time. Comment 2. Don't confuse contact with progress. He's keeping you involved because it benefits his legal case right now, not because he's decided you're safe to trust. If you treat this like a reconciliation and push too hard, you'll spook him right back into cutting you off. Move slowly, keep it about your granddaughter, and don't expect emotional closeness for a long time. Comment 3. You're still looking for silver linings in a situation where the only reason he's talking to you is because you're useful against him. That's not a relationship, that's damage control. You're lucky he's letting you anywhere near his kid after what you did. Don't screw it up again by pretending you're back in his life. Second story. I was shopping for a ring to propose to my girlfriend when I found out she was already married, had a son, and a whole other life. I have been dating the most amazing woman for the past year and a half. I have been in puppy love before, the kind where they're all you can think about, and you smile when you think of them, and we have that too. But she has also brought to me the joy of being together, but not together that magnificent way you can just be and be alone in the same room, her reading a book, me doing a project, and really knowing someone, knowing how her mouth crinkles when she thinks, the way the rain makes her feel, all the stories of her childhood, all the little stuff that makes her a person. At least I thought I did. I was shopping for a ring, and had been dropping hints that made her smile. And we would plan this little suburban life, a deck with a grill, a goofy puppy, and a piano. We talked about baby names and vetoed ones. We have the joke names Trevor and Trevina. We'd pick out paint colors and flooring at Lowe's and giggle like idiots. I was 100% confident. I just hadn't chosen a ring, you know. She didn't want a diamond, but didn't know what she did want. Then I got an FB message today from some guy. He said that he was her brother-in-law and that she had blocked him on FB. But could I please pass along a wedding invite? It would mean a lot if she was there. I pressed for more details, and it all came out. She was married before to a guy named Brendan, and they had a little boy, Sam. She told me before she didn't like that name. The son died in a car accident, and afterwards they had an ugly divorce, and she cut ties. 5 years of her life, I never knew about, and I don't know if I ever would have. I think she was never going to tell me. I felt sick about this all day. I made up an imaginary sickness to sit and think by myself, and I feel paralyzed by it. This morning I knew her, and now I don't. I don't even know how to bring this up or what. I definitely can't go buy the ring and pretend. At the same time, I want to be with them. I am hurt, but know that was horrible, that she went through something unimaginable. But I don't know what that means for us. Am I just a distraction? Is this something she does? I just don't know. Help. TLDR. I 30M just found out my girlfriend, 28 of a year plus, had a whole life I knew nothing about, right as I've been ring shopping. This life includes a first marriage and a child who passed away. I am stunned. Advice? Top/relevant comments. Comment 1. Oh man, what a situation. You are probably not a distraction, and this is probably not something she does. This is not okay, not by a long shot. But it could honestly be that she was hoping to just outrun the grief. To not have it be part of her anymore. When you go through something awful, it's a lot easier, sometimes, to only be around people that don't know about it. Rudyard Kipling even wrote a poem that talks about this, the lines, "There is knowledge, God forbid, more than one should own." Always suggested to me something that I learned as a teenager. Sometimes when people know you've been through hell, when they look at you, hell is all they see. It holds you there. It makes it really hard to outgrow the horrors of where you've been when you can see it reflected in people's eyes. So from my perspective, this was probably not an attempt at manipulation, but instead an attempt to just not be that person anymore. Not be the grieving mother, not be the injured ex-wife, not be the divorcee whose marriage and relationship with family were shattered. Even now, her ex-brother-in-law wants her company. That does not tell me that she is a bad person. That does not, however, make it okay. Not when the two of you are talking about marriage. She should have told you when you started talking about rings and baby names. And you're not wrong to feel conflicted, and maybe a bit angry and hurt about it. Stunned, absolutely. My advice would be to sit her down and to tell her that her brother-in-law got in touch with you. Don't accuse, don't shout, and don't get angry. Just tell her that you were told to pass on a wedding invitation, and see how she responds to that. Be calm. Does knowing that she has lived through this grief make you less likely to want to marry her? Does knowing that she bore and lost a child make you less likely to want to have children with her? Comment 2. Faulkner 2. Only thank God men have learned how to quickly forget what they aren't brave enough to cure. This is a wild story. But yes, what this woman did is just so human. Who wouldn't want to start over? OP, best of luck. No matter what happens. Comment 3. Show her the message, and gently ask her about it. Losing a child is awful, and everyone mourns in their own way. Perhaps she would have told you after you guys were officially engaged. Or when you were going to seriously try for a baby. It's not about you, OP, and I really doubt you are just a distraction. You still know her. Seriously, stop thinking about it, and just talk to her. Final update 11 days later. I spoke to her the day after. She told me she had wanted to tell me for a while, but didn't know where to start. That she thought about Sam every day, but at the same time didn't know how to begin. She pulled out a shoe box from her closet, and she showed me the pictures. Pictures of her wedding. This propped up little thing at the courthouse, and her in a short white dress with a slight stomach. Her husband, this cocky smiling kid with this shaggy blonde hair. Then the baby, Sam. Pictures from a red-faced baby to this little 4-year-old person. Birthdays and Christmases, and pictures of the three of them, a family. She talked about Brendan. How they came from these radically different backgrounds, and she barely knew him as a person before he was a father and husband. They'd only been dating 3 months when she got pregnant. They were 20. Then she talked about Sam, her baby. She kept saying he was the best thing that ever happened to me. Hearing that broke my heart. She talked about how his hair cowlicked in 3 different spots, and how he was always singing or humming, and that he loved to climb. She told me his favorite movie and book. She made him a person to me. Then she told me how they lost him. Some kid ran a red light, and then he was gone. She barely remembers the funeral because she was so heavily medicated. But the worst part was after, going home and him not being there, how she'd walk past his room and expect to hear him playing, waking up and forgetting for a minute he was gone. Their marriage had never been good, and they turned on each other. He blamed her because she had fastened the booster seat on that side of the car. She blamed him because he had been driving. They were divorced within a year after the accident. Brendan had a new child within 2. She had spent the time doing overload on classes and working, keeping busy because it made things easier. She didn't see her old friends because they drifted away. They never knew what to say. And they mostly had kids of their own. She was surviving. But seeing Sam's brother, who looked so much like Sam, hurt so much that she decided she had to get away and stop wallowing. She took the pictures down, donated clothes and toys, deleted her FB, and stopped seeing the old friends who weren't really friends anymore. She said she chose to keep breathing, because that was what it had come down to. Then she met me, and she said I made her want a fresh start, a better marriage, and more children, because she loved me. We talked for hours. She cried, and I cried for her. I still love her, maybe more now because I feel like she opened up to me so much. It's hard to imagine her married, with a son, toys on the floor, and pictures on the fridge. It's hard because in a lot of ways, it's the life I've been imagining with her. I still plan on marrying this woman. She's the love of my life. TLDR, she told me about her past. I love her and understand why she didn't tell me. Top/relevant comments. Comment 1. This must have been so hard for her. I am glad you were there for her. Good luck. Comment 2. Dude, you are the reason that she decided to make another go at life. You should feel good about that. Beautiful story. A tragic past with a potentially happier future. Best to both of you. Comment 3. It's good you found out everything from her at last. Losing a child is one of the most emotionally painful things a person can go through. She hurt for such a long time. It's no wonder she wanted a fresh start without this horrible memory eating away at her. You came along and gave her this new beginning. I think you two will do just fine. Comment 4. As someone who has lost a child in an accident, my heart was broken for her. You listened, and now understand slightly the pain that it causes. Never goes away. You just learn to get through the day. You are a good man. I actually choked up reading your update. I wish nothing but the absolute best for both of you and your future family. Comment 5. I'm glad that most of the commenters in the last post were right. She didn't mean anything cruel by not telling you. She was just trying to be alive. Good on you for taking it carefully, OP. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.